Hey, let me see if I'm live. Okay, yes, I am live. Okay, everything's working. Peace and love, guys. We're going to get into a couple of things. Let me just make sure my is up and running and working. I wanted to talk about this because let me see. Okay, I wanted to talk about this because I was on the phone and just having discussions about just some of the pressures that I want to say kind of go unspoken when it comes to, dating and being available and all of these different things. And oh, okay. Um uh, let's chill. Let's settle down. That's what I want to do. It's me and you. Okay. Oh my God, girl. I don't know why that song just came up on me like that. Oh, that's because I want to chill with you guys. And let's settle down. That's what I want to do. It's me and you. All my love is for you. Okay. Whatever you want, I will do. You're the only one I want in my life. For you, I'll make that sacrifice. That's such a beautiful song. So, baby, let's chill. All right, let me post this real quick, y'all. Oh, I hate when that happens because now I'm gonna want to have to listen. I'm gonna have to hear it. You're the only one I want in my life. Okay. All right, that's done. Okay, so I wanted to get into this topic because I feel like there are not a lot of conversations that are specific and dedicated to men, right? And there are so many of the girlies who are, wanting to be with, wanting to be in connection to with men, and we all have the horror stories and the horror story shit, okay? And I wanted to talk about this from a perspective that is, kind of leaning into why people, have a hard time seeing men as humans, right? And, I think that we all fall victim of objectifying people, especially if you want something from them or if they are, whether you're attracted to them or not, right? Sometimes women see men as um, just, a subject of her kingdom. You're supposed to do this, that, and the third for me. And then there are people who completely and utterly just worship the ground they walk on. There is a whole bunch of different like variations. But at the end of the day, guys, we are all human. And I wanted to talk about just the pressures, the societal pressures of what it is to be a man. Now, obviously, girl, it is me. Okay. Consider the source. I'm going to always say that. Consider the source. And I thought it would be a good topic, not only because there is, the channel's growing. Hey, y'all. Okay. Hey, y'all. And I thought it would be fair to give people an opportunity to speak about some of the things that they have experienced because, I have a lot of like male friends and they say things, but it's like, okay, but like, what are you doing about it though? And I'll just start off with being honest and transparent. This is not like a grip. This is not a space to come and dump. This is not, oh yeah, we finna just be woo, 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 woo. No, we're not finna have that. I want to have real conversation. Because I think it's a for real thing, right? We see the loneliness epidemic. We see so many people are not trusting of each other, men and women included. Nobody wants to be the one to get got. And I feel like a lot of this happened um, because of societal pressures, because of social media. Nobody is trusting, anybody anymore. Everybody got to get something out of somebody. I ain't no fool. It's just too much. And at some point, it's like, damn, like, guys, are we ever going to just get to a space where we can, start being just nice to each other, being kind to each other? Um, and also too respecting people for what they are, not being so quick to justify or objectify and just relate to one another. And so I did a little bit of research and only because again, like obviously I'm not a man, girl, I can't speak to no person, no man, but I can just talk about some of the things that I've observed, right? Um And I'm always going to be fair and I'm always going to like champion for people to be supported and be in community. Now, I'm not talking about men who are harmful. I'm not talking about men who are just outright nasty because there are exceptions to the rule when it comes to me. I don't give a good goddamn how anybody feels about it. It's just what it is. And I'm gonna be honest and truthful. Everybody likes to play like, oh no, there's a certain type of man I'm talking about. All right. Not the late, not But I think that some of those men, the terrible ones who we all know, um, whatever, like we like to talk about and point to, like I think that them being terrible or just, not nice to women or abusers or whatever, like that is typically a symptom of a larger system at play, right? There's this guy, I don't know if you ever heard of him. His name is AJ McQueen. He makes really good music. I really, really like this guy. And he has this song that I love. It's called Sit Yourself Down. And he's a real conscious rapper. He's from Chicago. He ended up what did he do? Like he was like a hangbanger. Da, da, da. He like if you see him, he got like tattoos all over his face, all over his body. And then he ended up like changing his life around. He got into conscious rap and he's really kind of like, in a conscious movement, holistic dude. I like him, but he talks about like his relationship that he had with women and how he never really had a relationship with his mother. The first time he really hugged something, it was a GUN, it was a pew pew, and it shaped how he interacted because of his environment. And so when you have to be hardened in an environment, and always told that you have to be strong and you can't show emotions as a man, like, we're not really teaching our boys as children to understand their emotions. We're really teaching them to suppress them. We're really teaching them to put them somewhere else because you can't show this. And then what happens, those men end up, or those boys end up growing into men who can't regulate, who can't discuss, who don't feel comfortable with discussing, or didn't have a caregiver or had a bad experience with a woman. And so he feels like, oh, I can't really talk to these bitches, right? Whatever, whatever, whatever. And so what happens if you don't really have those releases? You either explode or you implode. And when that happens, they either become incels and red pillars, or turn the other way, or whatever the case may be. So there's a couple of things that play. I think that I wanted to talk a little bit about the maybe the social expectations, right? Because I feel that a lot of men feel like their value is tied to what they provide, right? Like, and that just came out of, I don't want to just say social media spaces because, men being a provider is just a thing that we have all decided that that's what it should be. If you live in the capitalistic world under patriarchy, men are supposed to provide, right? But there are also two different and varying factors. There are socioeconomic factors that one has to consider. There are things that, would stop a man from being able to provide. There are, different things to consider. So like one, not all men start off on fair grounding, right? That's something else. But then also too, like you have to be the provider, you have to be emotionally strong, the every it's across cultures that men don't cry. And so there's financial pressure. And what do you do with that? Like, how do you actually start to process that? How do you start to streamline that? And how does it show up? Because I feel that it doesn't just stop, existing. People might be able to mask it and push it down or whatever, 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 but it's in the back of your mind. Chosen says men can show up in other ways than society norms and protect and provide. Yeah, I agree. But how does the society treat that man? Because again, I think a lot of men find value on how they are perceived. Or I don't want to say men, women too. Like that's just human nature. We place a lot of value on how society treats us. This is why we start off with questions like, oh, what do you do for work? Because we're trying to, in our mind, compute and assign how much respect should I give this person, right? Based off of whatever the profession is or however you present or what the dollar amount is. So even if you feel like, all right, let's get away from societal norms, like the whole world has agreed, not unless you have built yourself up so much that you can say, well, fuck the world. And there are some people who do that, right? I know that there are some women who operate outside of whatever it is, like, oh, don't turn no hoe into no housewife. And she like, yeah, bitch, I don't give a damn. I'm gonna be who I am and it is what it is. And I'm sure that there are some men who feel the same way. Like, I'm just gonna be who I am. But the average man, can the average man, is that something that they can handle? Is that something that they can really put forth? Society has made it feel that you gotta grind, make hella money to provide financial security for a woman, but women now want to be independent and make their own way. Ah, okay. I like this comment because it then also poses like, so if the man no longer has to provide and the woman is independent, then what is the man supposed to do? Are you saying that like takes away the man's ability to be in his natural role and position because the woman is super independent? Um, I like that. I like that question, that statement. Um, And I think too, like in a historical context, like women who want to be independent and make their own money. I ever hear the people they be like, "Oh yeah, well, that's why we need to be like grandmom and them and big mom and them. They stay with their man." A lot of times, y'all, they stay with that man because they ain't had no choice. Okay. Women were not allowed to have bank accounts. Women were not allowed to have properties. Women were not allowed to work like for real. So a lot of times grandma stayed because she ain't had no what else was she was finna do. You feel what I'm saying? So she had to do a little something. And so people will glorify those earlier years, like, oh yeah, they had it all on smash. No, women were just really suppressed. And so I think I can speak to my like for where I am and where I'm seated at in life. And I have a lot of women who I'm close with and cool with, and they got it going on. Different types of flavors, different lifestyles. And I know that women who are independent, like they will take less, like they are more likely to not be involved with the man because she has options. I just posted something like women are only as strong as their options, or people in general. You're only as strong as your options, right? And money creates options. The same is true for men. When men have a whole bunch of money, this is why they have a whole bunch of women most times, most cases. This is why, women say, Like, oh, never get with a man when he's down because he's just with you because he can be. As soon as he get up and when he get on, he leave your ass for a white girl. Okay, that just didn't come out of nowhere. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all. With this topic, I'm gonna have a hard time staying on track because I like. Let's keep in mind, I am a woman considered the source. Okay, so it's gonna possibly go back to, yeah. Well, at the end of the day going in. Okay, but okay, Chosen said it depends on the dynamic for real. To be honest, between men and women. Um, um, yeah, I think so too. I think so too. But um, I think the dynamic. What do you mean by that? What do you mean? Say more about that. Because you're like, oh, it just depends on the dynamic. Okay, but what if the woman is more understanding? Then the man can be more free to be himself. You know. Peace and love to you, thinker. How are you? I hope you're well this beautiful Saturday. I'd like to know what you think too. Do you feel like men are under too much pressure? When we talking about like dating, societal norms and everything like this, people talk a lot about the struggles that women face, which they should. Um, but I think that a lot of men are possibly suffering in silence. We've seen an increase of, unalivings. There's a mental health piece and a mental health factor that goes along with it because if society is telling you, you got to have it all together, you got to do this, you got to be this weight, you got to be this height, you got to this, that, and the third, in order to even get respect from even your homeboys. Like that's something to be said. I feel like women are way more accepting and kinder to one another. If like, girl, well, so what? You still deserve to be this, that, and the third. You're still cool. A nigga be like, nah, that nigga kind of you simping, bro. You got da. And it's like, is he simping or is he just, being free to follow his heart? You know what I mean? And how people or men when they rolling in groups, like I'm sure that plays a part in how they feel about themselves. Um, a lot of times men don't even like to talk about when they're struggled. They don't want to be labeled as weak. And I think a lot of times the men conflate being a provider as opposed to being a peace and love to you, Starboy the Night. Um, as opposed to, not only being a provider but being emotionally available. That's the difference too. Okay, guys, we got Naeem, you want to come up and join the conversation? Let me add you. Peace and love.
Peace and love. One thing that you mentioned that I wanted to speak on and expound upon is when you said the first thing you get asked is, what do you do for a living? And then when you talk about a woman to someone that doesn't know her, the first thing they ask is, what does she look like? So it's already that social norm of, we don't really think about it. I think it's more subconscious than everything. How pretty is she and how much money does he make? And I can't remember his name, but he mentioned that yes, women are more independent now. So what is your role if it's not going to be fully financial or fully provisional? And then in that case, it goes on what the woman really needs the most. Because some women don't have good relationships with their mother or their father, and that's what they need, someone that's going to step in emotionally for them. Some say, okay, you have to do the protection. Something happened to me in my past, and now I feel as though I need to be protected in the world. So it's figuring out what the person actually needs. But these norms are already in place without us even thinking about it. Because when we grow up, we hear, eat this so you can be big and strong, right? So
Hmm.
that's already the standard. The standard is already 6 foot, 200 and some pounds. That's already, even if a woman says she doesn't think about it that way, she's already thinking about it that way. We grew up with Disney watching certain things on TV and showing us, this is what the man's supposed to do, this is what the woman's supposed to do. Even though things have changed in modern culture, people still hold true to those social norms and social standards.
Mm. Yeah, because it's like an indoctrination. I talk a lot about that, like in a different context, because obviously I'm a woman, but it's like, y'all stop waiting for somebody to come save y'all. You're not a princess in a tower waiting for this man, the night to come down and save you. You might have to come and save yourself, And again, I said that like it's our participation in the societal norms. um and how much and how long and how big and wide the reach is that we don't even realize, like, how do we truly start to combat that, or learn how to operate in it differently. I think you said something that Chosen has said too. Basically, it's like the dynamic thinker said, but it can be perceived as a weakness. Men need their fathers, and that's a huge issue they are missing. Put the blame where it belongs. Okay, so you feel like it's a piece of having like a healthy role model as men. I want to add to that point because like I have a couple of guys who I feel like are good dudes, whatever the case. Da 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 da. And then, like, I'm like, yo, bro, why don't you try to be a mentor? Why don't you try to, this, that, and the third? Like, if you know it's an issue with, the lack of black male presence or whatever, like, show up, do little league. Oh, nah, I ain't doing none of that shit. Like, And on top of that, I feel like it don't also be like they're missing any daddies. It'd be like, well, I think that that's true. Because if you don't know what it's like, if you never had something, you don't know what to aspire to. And I think that women, like most women, will go get therapy. And you ever see the meme is like, well, women are getting therapy because of the men, and the men really should be in there. So, but then I think there's men who had mommy issues, and then it shows up in a different way, and they hate bitches, but they want to get all these shit off. Starboy Knight said, "We knights give thanks to God for creating all women, so men would not be alone." Okay, amen. Um, Peace and love, Polito. I like to think that husbands and fathers are important, perhaps more so than the value society places on them now. Wow. Okay. Okay. I like that. I think maybe there is like an imbalance of what's important and what's not. But I do think, you mentioned something like that about, men are supposed to be the ones to protect, and, we're supposed to, whatever, whatever, whatever. But husbands and fathers fall into those roles too. They fall into those categories, and they are important. But I think that a lot of women have become so independent, and there's been so many changes and workarounds that maybe women don't feel like women can operate without them now. So like you need to bring some value, player. You know what I mean?
Right. But shouldn't everyone bring value? That should be a standard for everybody. And I don't. You just mentioned this too. If it's hard to do something if you don't have the example, if you never seen it, then what does it look like? How do you know you're doing it right or doing it wrong to correct it if you've never seen what is the standard for my behavior or what is my role? And we all have a role in life, right? Like everyone wears different hats, whether it be brother, uncle, MTA worker. It doesn't matter which one you want to interject. We all have a role. So when it comes to relationship and relationship standards, it's what exactly does this individual think that my role is? And sometimes that's unspoken. It's more, it goes unspoken, and then something arises when you're not holding up to a standard that you were never told that you were supposed to have in the first place. And now that there's a bigger issue because two people have conflicting views on what should be happening, and no one opened up their mouth and said, well, these are my expectations of you.
Mm. Okay. So I like that. That's also a communication piece too. In order for communication to work, you got to feel safe, right? And I always just say this, if you're just tuning in for the first time, hi, it's Jeray Malay, the girl from Runaway, where we have culture, conversation, and community. All right. And so, more than anything, I like to create and curate safe spaces for us to have those conversations, productive, safely, and kind of bridging the gap a little bit. If you just joining in, make sure you are liking the video, guys. Let's make sure we're liking the video. The likes got to add up, okay? Because sometimes it's got to come in and give a directive. Thank you for whoever just liked the live. I appreciate you. I see you. I see you. Okay. Thank y'all so much. Um, But I think that, like what you said, it's a communication piece. And, Thinker, you just said something, this trial and error. I think a lot of times, if we're jumping into relationships prematurely, sometimes people don't even know what they even like. They don't even know what to expect. They don't even know what it is. So how can they communicate something on what they like? The mamas ain't doing it, the daddies ain't doing it, it's fatherless child, and this, that, and the third. And then, like, you go into this relationship, you feel like, oh, I'm gonna need me a man, because the man was absent. And so, like how children deal with fathers who are absent or mothers who are absent, you romanticize them, right? And it's like, oh, if I had my dad, but if I had my, and we have this idea, and you get into these relationships, and you're expecting this person to fill this void in which you never really fully connected the pieces of. And so you do go through a trial and error period. If it's like, yeah, but I think it was supposed to feel like this and supposed to feel like this, but you don't even know what the missing links are and what the steps are to make this, to even have that feeling, right? And I strongly suggest and urge anybody to do the self work and the inner work, because if you really sit with yourself, you can kind of understand what it is that you want and what you need. Now, I do think a portion of that is you need to have an environment to figure out, yeah, I don't like that shit. But a lot of times, in most cases, we grown as hell now, y'all. We got to start getting for real and being for real. Thinker says, I'm raising a kid for the first time. When I get it wrong, I course correct. Boom, Thinker. Boom. And I said a boom, shaka laka laka. God is good, baby. Because this right here, and I think you're hitting something with this, because I feel like, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong now, because sometimes, she pop out. But I just feel like women are more likely to correct. Like, I feel like men, because y'all, it just gives like, well, oh, well, this is what I got. This is all I got, and this is what I got. I think a woman will kind of do that extra leg work and be like, okay, let me figure it out. A prime example, it could just be the way that men and women function. A man will put off going to the doctors for 10 months. He been walking around with a cold. It's like, bro, you got the health insurance. You pay for it every month. Just go ahead and go to the doctors. You need the lady to call. Like, we as women, we do the extra steps. And I feel like men, y'all be kind of like, I don't know. Y'all just be like, well, this is all I got. This is what I was shown. It's like, well, where's the curiosity? Where's that? Where's the whims? Where's the whimsy? And putting like creating and crafting the life and the identity that you want to be. If you did not have those role models, that's how I view it. It's a whimsical matter of like, how should this look for me? What do I want it to look like? And then I move in that direction. I don't just stay in the bullshit because it's easier and it's familiar. Um,
A good point is that a woman that knows that she's going to be having children or raising children already, she is more likely to do the work so that the same thing doesn't she doesn't pass it along to her children. Men, we are more like, hey, it is what it is, like take it or leave it. And that's not necessarily a good thing, because I'm an advocate for therapy. It's important. I think it's a crucial, because sometimes you, what's the saying, you can't tell the forest for the trees because you're in it, and you need that impartial person to be able to say, hey, well, this is where your thinking was faulty, and this is where how you can correct that thinking.
mm, okay, I see that perspective. I like that. I um, I mean, like I think that you're right. I just think that most again, we're talking about the average man that got a certain level of resources, a certain level of know how. I just feel like I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be for real. I feel like men can do the bare minimum and it's praise because the expectation is so low. And if y'all ever be on like the TikTok streets, you ever hear something like, weaponized incompetence or whatever, like y'all see, like it was like a while ago, they was like, oh, sending my husband to the store and they gotta like they sending a picture of each item, they writing everything out, they doing a whole bunch of this. And it's just like to a point where it's like, you know what, fuck it. You don't even have to go to the grocery store. I'll go myself. You feel what I mean? And I just think that like a part of that is like laziness, but then it's also too, I think it goes into just being trustworthy and being honest. I think a lot of times people are in partnerships and they can't fully truly be themselves, and that's when you stop being honest. That's when you stop showing up and you stop doing the healing work. I don't care where you at, wherever you at, under the sound of my voice, you should still be doing healing work, whether you with your partner or not. And you feel like you living a life of your dreams, you should still be doing something to, if it's not healing work, it should be doing something so that way you can better yourself, you know? And I just feel like men get caught up in these systems, whether it's, you know, probation or, you know, societal norms, or even hell, even the passport bros. Okay, that's another fucking timeline in a system and a matrix in itself. And it's like, but y'all just looking for an escape, you know, or y'all just getting an excuse versus just really showing up authentically. I think men show up really hardened and inauthentic as opposed to a woman. Like a woman's going to show up with a little bit more authenticity in most times because we have that whimsy on us. Um, Thinker says, I agree. Nah, men don't express their need. Nah, I men don't express their needs as much as women. Yes, they wait to get on a podcast to complain. Ooh, rather than with their women. Yes, and I also too think that men, they do a lot of talking about women to other men as opposed to like, you know, really showing up for real. You know what I mean? Like, why is you on a podcast? Why is you talking about it with your boy? And why are you not saying it to the lady? You know what I mean? Like, I just think that that's so weird. I don't know. It's like this subculture where men feel more comfortable telling other men as opposed to the woman. Like, why do y'all do that? That's really bizarre to me. Women also need to be more open and take accountability. Come on, burn, 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 burn. Not the accountability word. Oh, thinker dropping bombs in the chat. Oh, women need to take more accountability to listen and correct behavior as well. I agree with this wholeheartedly. And you know, I think as a woman who in the past, a motherfucker couldn't tell me too much. I think that a lot of being able to be accountable and having changed behavior comes from trusting the source and trusting the leader, right? But and ladies, if you're in here, I'll give you a little tidbit. Sometimes you can not trust that nigga, not like that nigga, and think terribly about his leadership skills, but he may not be telling you anything wrong. You know what I mean? He might be putting a little bug in your ear for another little situation. Just something to think about. You know, it don't always have to be um you know, from the man that you think is your man, because sometimes men have a different perspective. Men are going to see things differently, like women will see things. So sometimes, like, I'll talk to like one of my male friends or whatever. I hate saying male and female, but like for context, like I'll talk to one of my homeboys and it's like, okay, but he's going to see it from a different perspective, right? And you know, I think that that's important. Women definitely need to take accountability and listen. Okay, he told me to shut my back ass up, so I shut my ass up. Okay, sometimes we need to shut up and listen, and vice versa. Um, Men and women learn from experiences. No one gives you a handbook on how to navigate manhood or womanhood if you don't give examples. Don't have examples of that growing up. I agree. I agree.
So when it comes to men and women having accountability, because it's both parties. It's not more so men or more so women. It's people in general that want to be accountable for their stuff, right? It's like, all
Mhm.
right, I caused this problem. I don't even want the problem to be here, so I'm not going to account for it. That I don't think that that's necessarily a male or woman thing. Men are more naturally head head on, meaning we're going to attack a situation way different than women are. But that doesn't make it right or wrong. It's just what is your skill set and how well does it play into your partner or whoever you're dealing with. It don't even matter about, it could be your family, your friend. It don't matter. It's what is my role in this and how well am I playing it, which is a form of accountability in itself. And when you said about men and women having perspective, always look at it like we try to place right and wrong on somebody's perspective. No, that's just how they think. And from a psychological standpoint, you should pay attention to how a person thinks because that goes into their personality and their learning style. And as we all know, you teach a person how to love you. They don't just come knowing how to love you intrinsically.
Yeah, but don't you think that there, in order to like really take true accountability, there has to be a level of vulnerability?
Most definitely, but you have to feel safe to do that.
Right. And so like it's important for like women, and here's the thing, we talk about safety a lot, like, oh yeah, well at least I do, like, I love to have good quick conversation about consent and all of these different things. But a lot of times like men don't even realize the secret to the whole key, the whole everything is emotional safety. Women, that's really what women want, is emotional safety. And so, like, you can't be like, oh, yeah, this is what it is. This is what it is. And I'm trying to correct some behavior and I'm trying to make you be accountable, and you're not providing accountability. And so, you know how, like, men will say, like, oh, yeah, she always snapping. She da 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 da. She talking out her neck, making her fingers snap. Like, you know what I mean? Like, women need to hear it in a certain way, too. And I feel like I know as a woman, when I was a younger woman, like, the elders being like, girl, but you gotta like talk to your man in a certain way. And like, you gotta like, it's a way that you gotta do it. And this, that, and the third. Like, is there a conversation that men are having in reverse? Like, it's a certain way that you gotta talk to her, bro, so that way she can hear what you're saying.
I've definitely had that conversation with certain friends that were receptive, because these conversations have to be with people that are receptive, because they'll somebody you tell somebody, hey, you talking to her too rough, this ain't your girl, and get the f out of here with that. So we are naturally more aggressive as men. We are. It's just based in our DNA, how we structure everything. We have to be, but it's a fine art to learn how to effectively communicate with a woman and be a good listener, and pick up on her subtle cues, because women are very, very, very subtle. Men are more blatant in nature. So it's important for us to be able to say, wait, how can she understand what I'm saying? Not because I know what I want to say, but how can I make this heard specifically to her, instead of just saying it how you say it. Because I done said stuff that I thought I was saying it the right way. It came off the wrong way, and now it's an argument, and now her feelings hurt. Now she don't feel emotionally safe. So it is very, very important. But I would the men that I'm around that, like I said, like, are receptive. Yeah, we have conversations like, you got to say it like this. Don't say it like that. Because even though you saying it to me like that, I'm a man. I can take certain things. Women, even a rough woman, you still gotta talk to her nice.
Mm. I think that, okay, so I see what you're saying. Like, you feel like, but I feel like that's still a little bit of a double standard, right? I always say, like, girl, like, watch, like, I never understood how women will just outright hit a man, and be in those circumstances like that, because that's unbelievable. I don't believe in that at all. Like, I'm gonna just say that right now, right here. But I do think that the idea that you're like, oh, even if the woman is tripping or whatever, like a man is, supposed to relax and not say it in a certain way or whatever. I think that when situations are heated and situations are escalated, I think it's just a human thing. And like sometimes people need to take breaks and people need to be able to self regulate. There are so many people, like, remember that video I had made about Jim Jones, donkey kicking somebody's door? And I'm like, yo, there are so many like 50-year-old men who are just walking around with no coping skills, like nothing. And they're just moving and grooving. And we pedestalize them because they got a couple hours and they are considered provider men. Like, but he has no skills. He lacks no understanding. And like, the idea that a man is supposed to be in control of himself, like, yeah, okay, again, but those feelings are still going to go somewhere. You're either going to implode or explode. And so, how many times can you do that before you trip the fuck out?
Right.
And it's a matter of like being compatible. You're going to make it seem like, I feel like when we talking about compatibility, people will go for anything as long as it look good, it sound good, and it stay wet. You feel what I'm saying? Or it stay hard. And we need to start being for real about that and stop just partnering with people for, because it looks good. Like, what's the qualities like? And men and women are both very shallow when it comes to that.
As you said, everyone has a tipping point. So, as a man, and I always liken women to the weather. They might tell you it's going to rain. It may or may not rain. It, but when it rains, you need to be able to withstand that rain, especially if you want to be there. If you want to be in this environment, you got to be able to withstand it. It might get hot. It might get cold. I liken that to women and their emotion. So it is important for a man to be able to withstand. But like you said, emotional regulation. I've had to tell women before, I cannot continue to enter this conversation with you if you're going to yell, because it's going to make me want to yell. And most of the time, when a man hear another man yell, now we it get physical, because that's just how it goes. It's not, you're not going to keep yelling at me, but women get a lot of stuff off because there are double standards. So we can't. I don't even look at double standards or positive or negative anymore. It's just it is what it is. There's a lot of double standards in life. That doesn't make it right or wrong. It just makes it a double standard, and one that you probably gonna have to work around anyway, because no one's gonna relinquish their power, because there's power dynamics in every relationship. No one's gonna relinquish their power just because you say no. That's a double standard. What, I'm supposed to not use my advantages? But as well as love is a very forgiving thing, is a very patient thing, and supposed to be with wisdom. But we know that love don't always operate like that.
Hmm.
There's
I
a lot
think
of double standards
uh,
that just are.
and I think most people will accept it, but the double standards is what keep people like kind of like inauthentic, and I don't really accept it in the sense of like as a societal norm. Like I accept it for what works for me within my own dynamic. You feel what I'm saying? Like it's not everything's not so cookie cutter and so black and white. For instance, I don't believe I don't believe in like traditional roles in a sense of like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna cook my man dinner every night. I'm not doing that. I'm not that girl. I'm not the hand on you waiting for type of woman. I don't like that. I don't. I'm just telling y'all right now. And so I know that like I couldn't be with a man that feels like that's what a woman should do, because that's not in my mind like, the only thing that works. Like, you know what I mean? People have like people can create the lives that they want. Again, leaning into the whimsy of it all. Girl, we are out here like we are not NPCs in this life, girl. We are the main characters. We can have it our way, literally. So, like when you say like double standards, you know, there are a lot of women who shame other women for being 304s, you know what I mean, for being hoes because you like to get it popping on the weekend or whatever the case may be. And there are men who will come out and do the same thing. But secretly behind it all, I really feel like a lot of men would prefer a woman that's like that, and going into those double standards. Oh, a man can be, explore himself and do a whole bunch of shit, but a woman do it. It's like, oh no, she's terrible. Like she's washed up. She's this and she's that. So double standards don't always come out in this way where like it just is. It can be harmful too because it makes people feel like they have to hold like pigeonhole themselves when they don't really
Right.
want to be like that.
I don't know if you ever heard the analogy of the lock and key, but there's an analogy that when it comes to men and women sexually, if this key unlocks multiple locks, it's a master key. If that lock can be unlocked by multiple keys, that's just a shitty lock. And that's it's not, it's one of those double standards that, because there's double standards on the woman's side that work for women. It supports how they want to be. And what you meant about 304s, I think that that's just the norm now. Like that's not going anywhere. Like that's perpetuated in our culture a certain way, and people are for it. It's women's liberation and all that. So that's not about to change. People are gonna do what they want, what they feel morally comfortable with, right? That's just humans. Like that's what we do. We do what we feel morally comfortable with. And sometimes, and now that type of behavior is not something that people don't feel comfortable with.
I mean, I guess I don't even halfway believe that. I think that like the idea that, oh yeah, you have this lock. This is like Puritan politics. Like nobody believes in that. I think that that's something that people say out loud, but really deep down and inside, that's not how they feel. Like I don't believe that any man that you ever dealt with, he can be like, oh, I like a this, I like a that, I like a what he say, I like a light skin, thick red bone, whatever Lil Wayne we talk about. and like, oh, this is my type, this is my type. And then you go on that Instagram page, you go on that FYP, you're gonna see something complete. You're gonna see a whole bunch of shit, and it's gonna be like him following a whole bunch of people. It's gonna be him doing this and him doing that. Like,
But that's not
so
honest with themselves.
that's what I'm saying. So double standards, my point exactly. So men will say that you'll give the whole analogy of the key or it's a shitty lock, but whole time you're not being for real because you would try to uh make a hoe into a housewife. Like that's again being honest and being vulnerable. And a lot of men are like men and women, I'm being fair, um, are not being honest about some of the things that they like and enjoy and how they want to be loved on and how they want to see things or whatever the case may be. Um Pilato says something that I really like though that I want to kind of get into. Where's the comment?
Wife,
Okay. One of the things I learned years ago was to never talk trash about my wife to others. The relationship is much stronger when issues are discussed together and in private. I'm not always the best at it. This right here is so key because when I tell y'all, when y'all be in relationships with people and you running your shit down to somebody, you getting your mama involved, you getting your daddy involved, your sister, uncle, brother, cousin, and y'all didn't even have the chance to process that's because you're very comfortable and you're very easy to talk about whoever, whatever, and familiar with talking about people in that way, as opposed to the person who you want to share your life with, who you want to share your time with. And that's what's wrong with people. You start putting other people in your relationships. And also, too, women, need to be mindful of if a man is sharing something with you or a girlfriend. I'm very big on this. I'm very big on this. Anybody, if somebody shares something with you in confidence, it's not for you to go back and run back and pillow talk and kick that lady back in. That's what keeps people separate. That's what keeps people isolated. That's what makes people suffer and struggle in silence. The same is true if you do it to your homegirl, and the same is true if you do it with your man. Stop running your mouth so much. You feel what I'm saying? If somebody whole is saying something to you, they trust you enough, honor that. Okay. um Hold on. Paleto said, don't make your wife the butt of your jokes in front of others. Oof, child, please. Though gentle teasing is typically fine. I agree with that completely. Um, now you was going to say something?
I was going to speak on what he said about his wife. I feel like that's a cardinal rule because one of the people don't really talk about how trust plays into any relationship and the value of trust, because who you can trust is who you're going to tell your secrets to. They're who you're going to be the most vulnerable with because you trust them. You feel safe doing these things. And when you got a wife and you trying to downplay her or try to say certain things about her, of course she's gonna feel the way. Like anybody's gonna feel the way. Like, wait, you told your friends what?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's the point of that? And then most of the time it don't be in front of the person, so it's like you don't know what the context was. You don't know if it was a joke or they were looking for advice. So now it builds a layer of distrust. It's very hard. We all know that once distrust is there, it's damn near impossible to gain your trust back. That's just how humanity works. Your mind doesn't stretch back to that, even if you want to trust the person again. And that's I think that's the one of the biggest pictures in any type of dynamics in a relationship with anybody you're dealing with. How well can I trust this person?
So are you saying that as soon as somebody breaks the trust, the relationship is over? Basically, you don't think people can come back from that?
It's damn near impossible. If it doesn't happen in the moment the trust is broken, it erodes slowly or quickly. But yeah, once that trust is broken, it's very, very difficult to regain it.
Mm. Candy said, "Oh my God, I used to have a homegirl, told my business to her man. Oh my God. Notice I said used to. That's your man, not mine. He has no business in my tea." Oh, I absolutely agree. And a lot of women do that. I don't know why. I think it's just like trying to make sure, like, oh, like you want to present her in a negative light or something like this. I don't know. I don't know. I don't like that. But that girl, she could never. I don't blame you. She would never be have access to any of nothing of mine ever again in life because I do not play them games at all. Or RFD said, I can't believe it. You need to. You here. That's fine. You here. That's cool. Andre, you ain't right for that. You're gonna say I cheated on all my girlfriends. Why cheat when you
But
why
why?
cheat? Yeah,
Why?
why cheat when you could be in
Why?
an open relationship? And that's another thing too. Don't nobody want to be in an open relationship, but everybody want to be doing whatever they want to
I want to
do.
know why he did it.
Lack of self control, like most men. Um,
I mean, that they may not be his reasoning though. All of them. So he was never satisfied. Where he said, "All right, this one, I don't got to cheat on this one."
or he said, I'm sorry, he said all of my girlfriends think I'm cheating on them.
But
So
so
maybe he meant something in the past.
you ask them why they think that you cheating. Why are you?
I don't know. Women, a lot of people get cheated on. People don't talk about like, yeah, but it can come from him. It can come from different situations. We were just talking about, but I think I just said so. There's no forgiveness. I think forgiveness is,
Uh,
it's a.
you can forgive and not continue along in that relationship.
But I mean, like,
I don't think I can go back from somebody violating my trust.
okay, is it going to be violating your trust, or are you going back to the whole, oh, the lock and key and somebody touch
No,
and
not
tamper with
that.
my lock? Because it sounded like a
I
little bit
don't
like your
believe in. I don't
masculinity is
believe in
under
the lock and
attack.
key. I don't believe in the lock and key. That I was just asking if you ever heard of that saying. What I'm saying about distrust or misuse of trust, I don't know. My mind can't wrap, and this is something else that I think man, the male ego is bigger than the woman's because y'all are more forgiving by nature. Usually, once a man get violated, he like, I'm not about to go back around that male or female. I'm not talking about fully in a romantic relationship. Even if it's a male friend that violated trust, it's like I'm not about to go back around him and be cool with him and laugh and joke. He violated my trust. I don't trust him no more. I don't think that I can be safe around him. It's not even about romance. It's about having that standard for myself. I don't think I can do it. Lying, cheating, all that stuff. Cause now I'm thinking, why did you even do this? Why did you bring this to me? And I
Now,
had
now,
to
wait a minute. Now, wait a minute, brother,
learn.
because we're gonna be honest. Now,
Yeah,
you know I'm a truth teller. You know I'm a truth seeker. Now, we
I
we
had to
being
learn to
honest, right?
understand it. Like it's very important for us. It's not cheating. It's a violation of y'all trust. That's what it is. It's not. We call it cheating, like we playing the game. Ain't nobody playing the game with their heart. It's not a
Mm-hmm.
game to be played.
Mm-hmm.
That's once that trust is violated, it's very, very difficult to come. I'm not saying it's impossible, but how do you even build it back up again? What steps do you take? Because even
I
if you
think honestly, being for real, like, you know, being honest and accepting people for who they are. Like people always have like these parameters and shit like, oh no, babe, I was looking at her ass. Oh no, I don't find anybody else attractive. And much like, women want to hear it, the men gonna say it, and it's like that's not true at all. Candy say, ain't nobody playing the game with their heart. Bars, no, for real. You gotta aim with that. But I think that they don't want to play games with their heart, but they'll play with yours. They'll step in and stomp on and off
that's
the
not
ropes with somebody else's.
cool.
I'm just saying.
Either way, it's
I'm
not
just saying.
whether it's the man's doing it, the woman's doing it. If you think that it's a game, then we shouldn't even be engaging with each other
It shouldn't reduce to be it's unbecoming. Preach to Ray. Yes, for real. It's a shorter trip. Um Thinker says, is it it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. Or Palato said that it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. It depends.
I
Open
think it's better
relationships
to
are no
ask
fun.
for permission.
Wait, Thinker said open relationships are no fun. And when everyone is aware, and I agree with this because people get a joy out of being sneaky and being mischievous. People like that shit.
That's not grown up though. Like how that's
That's not
how
true, nigga. What are you talking about? It's hella grown ups
cheat
that's doing
cheat
that.
cheat on your man. That's how you get a his head.
Hey, it's the thrill of being caught. It's the thrill of doing something you're not supposed to. And again, when we're talking about being honest, like you need to have honest conversations about the shit that you really into. Like you're like what your kinks are. You know what I
Right.
mean? I like the thrill of being possibly caught. If a nigga's into some fucking voyeurism, it's a chance he
A
might
lot
cheat
of,
on your
I
ass.
think a lot of people are though. A lot of women are into that too.
True, but a lot of women are not able and not emotionally safe enough to even have those kind of conversations. And so what happens is you just suppress it. Oh no, baby, of course not. I'm not like that at all. Oh, of course not. But then lo and behold, on a good Sunday, on a good Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, if the shit all aligns, then all of a sudden you
Right,
caught
it's
up there
going
and now the
down.
trust is broken.
It's
And that's
going down.
because you're not being for real with yourself. I think that like, you know, I always say, like, like, oh, does this bite? Well, do I have teeth? It is what it is. That goes for both
Right,
people.
right.
But you see how I'm talking, you see how I'm giving it up. I think a lot
Hmm.
of men will hear what I'm saying and feel like, oh yeah, this bitch, she a little bit too much. Like, oh yeah, she kind of like, you know what I mean? And nobody want to have those conversations because,
That
oh
goes
yeah,
into
oh
emotional
no, no,
vulnerability as
of
well.
course you said that. Like, they want to play those games. They want to play the games with the wifey type, right? Okay, yes, and absolutely, and sure, and here's your T-bone steak, daddy. And then they want to go ahead and hunch on, you know, Rebecca from down the street, and she don't give a damn. She making you hot dogs and oodles and noodles, but she can use like crazy. You know what I mean? And you want both, but you can't be honest enough to be like, I like this. Or some people feel like if you want to be in those situations and there's something off with you, you feel like you're trying to fill a void. And I feel like we're kind of moving and veering off from men being under pressure and just the double standards. But I feel like it boils down to people being honest with what they really want, being for real about who they really are, right? Because that's something different. But then also, too, like treating people not as something to possess. When we thinking about monogamy, I think a lot of people have shit so backwards. Like, even when we're talking about like the business of marriage, like you don't have ownership of nobody, y'all. Yeah, that's your man. Yes, that's your girl. You don't own that person, right? Even like your children, you don't have ownership of your children. You are here, you are their parent, you're supposed to be their guide through this life. You feel what I'm saying? Eventually they're going to leave the home and go off and do their own thing, right? So I think we be so backwards in our way of thinking and our understanding of things. If you have a real relationship and a real genuine connection, then of course I can treat you with that mutual respect and I can love on you the way that I would want to be loved, and I could have those conversations and I can communicate effectively. But if you are still living in this la la ass land and you not being for real, like what are we saying? What are we doing? Um, Everyone relationship is different. You have to meet your partner where they're at. Every dynamic is different. Yes, I agree. And where your partner is at, if it's too misaligned, don't try to force it. Don't try to force it. If he's into a whole bunch of shit, if whatever, like I'll make it PG. If he's into gardening and skiing and you like to go to luxury spas, it's a mismatch. It's going to be too far of a jump for you to meet him where he's at and vice versa. Um she said, "Are you trying to let him cheat in peace?" No, I'm not trying to let him cheat in peace. No, of course not. We're not talking about cheating in peace. We're talking about being for real about what the people want. What works for them. Like Chosen said, what the dynamic is. Like, I want to be for real with you. I don't want to play. I'm not saying cheating in peace. Um Thinker says yes, especially if you're not going to leave. Listen, this right here is it, right? If you're not gonna leave, cool. And if you're okay with being cheated on, cool. But I think it's something to be said about even having to go so far as to cheat on somebody. Like if you're not being for real with what you got going on, Paletto said it like, if you it's better to ask for forgiveness and permission or whatever the case. Like you got to be honest about who you are. People are not honest about shit. That's the part I don't like. That's the part that keeps people stopped and keeps people hindered. Like, all right, well, it's the first time and so I have to put it on like this. Like we're all like when we go to a job, right? We all play a game. And it's like in my personal relationships or for me personally, I don't deal with a lot of my family members. The reason being is because when I'm involved with family, I don't want to feel like it's work. I want to be my true, full, authentic self. If I can't do that and that shit feels too much like work for me, I'm not bothered. I'm cool. How is you cool? You feel what I'm saying? And so I think the same need to be true in relationships. And this is why it throws me off when the girls, and I gotta do this, and I gotta do that, and and I gotta come around, and I'm gonna arch my back. I'm like, girl, you doing way too much. If this nigga, like, if he don't like you, he don't like you. Because what'll happen is you gotta keep this facade up. You gotta keep this little thing going. I'm not playing them games. Um, no, but gentleman club isn't the same as a dancing bear. Gentleman's club isn't the same as dancing bear. What if he's lying? Lying about who he is or lying about cheating? Because they or both. Or both. And see, that's the chance that you have to take. If you are involved with anybody in any capacity, there is a chance that, people are not going to be honest. And this is why you have to be for real with yourself. You have to have discernment. You have to trust yourself enough to know that, okay, this man is lying, or I have to trust myself to know to walk away, or I have to trust myself to not even give him a chance to play with me. I was talking to somebody earlier, and they're gonna say, women are just irrational because they'll just believe something that makes no sense. And I'm like, yeah, well, if a woman's gonna trust her intuition, then yeah, okay, well, I'm irrational then because I'm gonna trust my intuition every single time. I don't care. I don't need no proof. I don't wait for hard facts. If that shit jump on my spirit and it say, yeah, not him, not today, not like that, that's all I need. I don't need no hard proof, and I don't care what nobody say. And you won't change my mind. You feel what I mean? So you got to have a level of trust with yourself and not just trusting that you can make the right decision. Okay, catch this, y'all. You got to trust yourself enough to know that if it does go left, right? And if that nigga is like he is lying, he lied to you, snaked you out, he was a bozo, he was a clown, he was all those things. You have to trust yourself enough to be like, I can make it through this. I'm not gonna go through to the psych ward. I'm not gonna lose my shit. I gotta trust myself enough to know that I can make it through this on the other side. Right? You gotta trust yourself enough to know that. And this is why a lot of times people are just opting out because I don't have the time, I don't have the patience, and I don't have the bail money, or I don't have the emotional bandwidth. Sometimes we're in spaces where I can't take it. I don't have the I don't have it on me to be like, all right, well, if this shit do go left, then I'm gonna be all right. Nah, I'm not gonna be all right. Cheating has been made prevalent because people want options, but that's why there are other forms of relationships. I think there is an illusion of options. There's an illusion of options. There are a lot of men who are 50 years old, receding hairline, out of shape, out of money, no credit, in the basement. The basement is damp. There's black mold. He got COPD, sleep apnea, ED, desensitized, watching corn, and he's on a microphone right now telling it's just how they ain't shit and they ain't never going to be shit. But because he can go online and get a little traction and slide in the DM on a young girl who's 20 who might think, oh, he's a 50-year-old man and he's helping his mom with a rehab in a house in a basement, that he has so many options. This is why you see an increase of passport bros. There ain't no options. This is why we on Tinder, Bumble, Instagram, Facebook, dating, plenty of fish, grinder, scruff, blacked, meat, uh, coffee meets bagel, duet. Are these real viable options for real, y'all? Are they options for real though? Is what I like to know. So I think that social media and access um to other people makes it seem like there's an illusion of options, but to have real contenders and real quality people, it doesn't really give that. Right? A good example of this is a girl have 100 million people on Instagram and she can't make a dollar from it. One would think, oh, she has all these followers, of course she has all this money, right? And it doesn't always translate like that. So the idea that there are so many options. If that was the case, then we wouldn't have an epidemic of single and lonely men, right? We have an epidemic of single and lonely men, and this is when they had the big increase, the booming bubble of OnlyFans surge, right? Because of the it's feeding a demographic of lonely men who are in their mama's basement with the black mold, receding hairline, and ED. But because we're all in this, creator economy, this ecosystem, it's like, oh, I got so many options. All right, bitch. We also are addicted to dopamine, so we can scroll and swipe left and swipe right, and it's not really meaning nothing. It's not really adding anything. Um, I went off on a tangent. That's awesome, but we are conditioned to ignore our intuition from birth. Woo, especially when it comes to men. Hey, burn, 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 baby. I'm about to go off on another tangent. I feel it coming up on my spirit. The way you just ate this up, we are literally wired. Like we are being so counterintuitive. Okay. And society has told us this is why they were burning witches at the stake back in the day. Because them ladies was tuned in. They was turned up. They was too turned up. And they want you disconnected because, oh, at least I have a man. I have a man. I got a man. I got a man. I got a man. I got a man. Girl, you got a man, but do you have your mind? Where's your mind at? I believe this completely. We are told to ignore our intuition. We are wrongly informed by generations before us to say, girl, well, at least he paying all the bills. Okay. We are told to okay, yes, no, he has her mind. Exactly. Okay. Down in the pits of hell in his motherfucking back pocket with his ass. Okay. But women are waking up. Women are waking up. Women are definitely waking up. Women are stepping into their power. They're stepping into their purpose. They are seeing things for what there is. And more importantly, we talked about this earlier in the live. Women are becoming more independent, right? You're only as strong as your options. More women have more options now. Now, the options we have, right? We're not talking about Tinder, Plenty of Fish, Scruff, Grinder, and all these other apps that the people's on. We're talking about economic ability. We have upward mobility. We don't need the man to sign off on a bank account. We don't need him to sign off on a deed of the house. And so, a lot of times we create peace, and we don't. We can take it or leave it, right? So it's like, okay, and this is why I know that the men is going outside in. If they go going to the passport bros, because the quality women ain't really beat. They like, girl, please, what they say. I'm the captain now. We the niggas with money now. Uh, yes, thank goodness. And when you have money, you have options, and the option could be I don't have to stay in your house because I don't need to stay with you in your mama's basement with the mold. Thank you. That's the reason most people want to step out. Yeah, I agree with that. People want to step out because there is an illusion of options. Um, and social media is telling you, get off there and it's something else right around the corner. She want to meet up with you right now. Oh, meet lonely singles, meet lonely and horny singles in your local neighborhood development tonight at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. You feel what I mean? Like, be for real. And men, they go for it. They go for it. Um, Chosen says social media has made people have unrealistic expectations on relationships. I agree with that completely. I agree with this completely. And I think that, okay, so, and I think I agree with this. I agree with this completely. I think so much has been said in the space of men and women that there's really kind of nothing left to say outside of the fact of we need to stop saying so motherfucking much online and in these spaces. Keep some of these conversations between you and your homegirls. Leave that shit in the group chat, put it back in the kitchen and the beauty salon where it belongs. I feel like the women is on here saying too much and the men is too hip. And then also too, the men are also out here like doing the same thing. Do y'all know it's a whole sector of content creators who are teaching men how to manipulate and gaslight women more effectively? They are literally telling them like, all right, so what you do is you do this, that, and the third, and blah blah blah, and by then she's gonna feel some type of way, like literally showing them step by step what they should do in order to like get the woman where she doesn't want. Like you do all of this and you just stop texting her. Dark psychology. And the same thing that's bringing us closer, these phones, okay, it's the phones are the same things that are keeping us separate, and it's keeping us highly suspicious of each other, and it's keeping us guarded, and it's keeping us putting on the mask, and it's keeping us from really getting what we want. Hell yeah, babe, I like when you do that, and I might hit the neighbor or not. Oh, babe, I just really want to be with you. You know what I mean? Like people are so afraid to just be who they are because everybody on and their mama is telling them, well, you need to do it like this, and wear this kind of outfit, and you know don't order a moscato, get a lemon drop. Oh, don't order a lemon drop, order the Grand Marnier. Like it's like, girl, shut the fuck up and just be who you are. And we have an epidemic of entitled men. Oh my gosh, you want to come up? Click the link, it's in my community, tab. I want to hear what you have to say about that. Entitled in what way? What do y'all think she mean by that? We have uh what do you mean by that? No, he has her mind gone, baby. Do you think men are under pressure because women are so independent? Ooh, this is a good one. I think that there's some truth there. I think that men are under pressure to perform differently because, yeah, like I agree with that. I agree. I think there's something to be said about that. Like I'm not finna be talked too crazy. I'm not about to be made to feel like anything. I'm not about to go for a lot of shit that I know that some women have to deal with. And I'm not sitting up here on a high horse because y'all, there were times and situations where I had to shut the fuck up because that man was paying all the bills and I needed to shut the fuck up. Right? That's not fun. That's not cool. And if you ever been in that situation, I don't even got to say too much, bitch, because you already know without me having to say. So, yeah, when you step into the light, Craig, and you realize, hold the fuck up, I ain't got to, then yeah. And I think that either rise to where you are, they meet you where you are, or they stay where they are, and they try to um get lower hanging fruit, honestly. Um, or they try to like disempower you. Um, it's a couple of things. It's a couple of things. It can go so many different ways. But I do think that there's something to women being more independent and men having to perform differently. Back in the day, it used to be enough for a man to just be a provider, right? It was cool. Yeah, well, he paid the bills. They both working or whatever, and that was just what it was. But I think that men, or women, I should say, like we understand that we need and want more. We require more now. And it's like, okay, so are you going to rise to the occasion or not? And a lot of times men are not rising to the occasion. Thank you so much, Thinker. Peace and love to you, sis. I appreciate that. I appreciate the super chat. Make sure we are liking the video, guys. Okay. Send your girl a super chat, send your girl a little gift. I love it so much. Thank you. It's greatly appreciated. Help me keep the channel growing and thriving. Okay. All the love and energy you put into me, I'm sending back to you tenfold. Thank you so much, Thinker. Um, girl, we done made it out the swamp, girl. Thinking we done made it out the swamp, girl. Um, let me not. Okay. But let me see. To each his own, do what works for you. I agree. I agree. Social media has definitely affected society in a negative way, but um It can be used in a positive way. It can be. Yeah. Oh, I agree completely. It's a tool. You can get a pen and write a fucking essay to the Pulitzer Prize or write the best, hottest, newest Netflix series. We can get that same pencil and gouge somebody else. I'll stab somebody in the damn neck. So it's a resource. It depends on how you actually use it. Okay. Um, um, hold on, y'all. Um, time. Much time. What was I gonna say? So cell phones ruining relationships. Ben, no one wants to be vulnerable both sides. I feel like the cell phones and the like. Remember back in the day, you used to go to the club. I don't know. Remember, I talked about this. East Coast, like the clubs were big here. Like we had teen clubs where I'm from. So we used to go to the club all the time. And then when you turn 18, 19, 20, by 21, don't nobody want to go to the club no more because we've been clubbed out. And you know, now, but you never really take a nigga that you meet at the club seriously, typically, because they in there, give me a Wally, give me a Wally. Y'all probably don't even know what that is. this is a I'm from Jersey, if I don't know. Hold on. I'm gonna let y'all hear this. It's called club, what is it called, y'all? Jersey club music. Right. And y'all know they got like DC, DMV music, da, da, da. What do they call it? Baltimore. What do they call it in DC? Chosen? I don't even know. I'm about to play this. So anyway, we used to be in the clubs, girl. We used to dance back in the day. Can y'all hear this? Give me a Wally. Give me a Wally. All right, so a Wally is basically a dance. Okay, you twerking on your whoever, and you twerking, you dancing, you in the club. You never. It's like a rule. You never really link with the nigga that you was at the party with, because it's like you just dance with him all night. We was giving a Wally all night. And it's like there are lusty men. You don't take them seriously. The same is true for like these men on social media or these women on social media. Like, and don't get me wrong, I do believe that there are some real connections that can come from it. Um, but it takes a level of vulnerability. It takes for people to be serious. It takes for people to be for real. And 9 times out of 10, most people are too afraid to even be authentic. People are afraid to be who they truly are. You feel me? So like you ain't gonna get that 9 times out of 10. You might show up for real and realize that motherfucker's playing. It's never really balanced. So like the club, the like social media, online social media dating is the new club. You don't take the club nigga seriously. You have a good time. All right, yeah, you want to hit up the afties, go get a little bite to eat. If you want to, pop it off, you can. You don't have to. You see him a couple times. He look good. You look good. Bow, bow, bow. You see each other. You smile. You dance. Bow. But that ain't your husband. It's like this casual thing, right? I think the same is true with like social media dating and social profiles. What are they called? Like social networks. What is it called, y'all? I'm having like a major brain fart. Online dating. Jesus fucking Christ. Damn, online dating tore me up. Why did it tear me up that bad? They feel entitled to our time. Ooh, they feel entitled to our time. Oh, Pilato, yes, thank you for coming up. They feel entitled to our time, our labor, our bodies, and we used to have to provide those things. Now we don't. Wow, that's amazing. I want you to come up too. Peace and love. Thank you for coming up. I want to hear what you have to say because you've been adding some really good things to the conversation.
Oh, thank you. Um, I'm not sure what I have to say. I just figured it was easier to talk than to type.
Than to be in
So
the chat. Yeah, well, she just said they feel entitled to our time, our labor, and our bodies. I think this is really true because, when women started going into, the workforce and, we had options, our options started growing. Like, we don't necessarily have to do those things anymore. And I think it happened in Korea. Like, there's this huge surge of women who are just deciding to not have children, and they're like, oh, what are they going to do? It's the population. They're killing off the population. Like, women have choices now. So I don't know. I think that men are definitely entitled to like the women's body in the sense of like if he feels like, oh, we're together, or you wore this skirt, so I can cat call. If you wore what you look like, then whatever. Because the first thing that people say when something bad happens, the word that rhymes with grape, and it's like, oh, well, what was she wearing? It's like, well, just because she was wearing something doesn't mean that that's what it was supposed to give. You feel me? So I do
Yeah,
think that there's some truth there.
yeah. I think I'm in a much different place in life than maybe even a lot of your viewers. Maybe I'm just a lot older and just different life experiences. But
Hmm.
kind of going back um, to the description here of the societal expectations based on men, why men struggle to open up emotionally, mental
Mm.
health challenges men face. Um, I think there's some good reasons for all of that, but kind of going back to some of the comments I made earlier in the chat. Um, First off, the it's easier to ask forgiveness than permission. That was just a
Hmm.
joke. Um, uh, but it is true, right? But I think it might have been read in the context of stepping out, and
Hmm.
I was intending it more in a much more lighthearted way. um,
Hmm.
but um, with with men in society today, we have definitely obligations that I think, in many respects, men are not living up to.
Mm.
And I think because of the many men who are not living up to those expectations, I mean, not providing for families, not even being with their families, not, not tying the knot, um, not being there for their kids,
Right.
because of because that's so prevalent in society today. Um, I think husbands, fathers, men in general are maybe not as respected as it used to be. Right? I think in the good old days, like, oh,
Hmm.
it's the man of the house, right? Whereas now it's like, okay, well, the woman's the boss of the house, and a lot of times the only parent in the house. And so I think in general, men need to step up and be the husbands and fathers that their wives and kids need. Um, and I think as that happens more, um, maybe society will see and recognize that value more than it does right now.
I'm glad that you said that, and I appreciate that. And that's really honest. And I think because you're coming from a different perspective and you're seated differently in life, you can say that without the fear of looking a certain way or without the backlash and everything, because there's a lot of truth from what you just said. There is a level of like men who just kind of abandon their posts. And it's like, how can we ever even get past that? Like being honest about that. A lot of men would not come up here and admit that. A lot of men would
So
not come up here and admit that.
so in the chat, Mo Perspective asks, is Belato saying good men get a bad rap for the men who aren't handling business? And um, I think there's definitely an aspect of that. But for those who are not handling business, it reflects poorly on the rest of us. Um, Now, I heard a joke way back when about attorneys, right? It says 99 attorneys give the rest, 99 out of 100 attorneys give the other attorney that name. Um, so it's just the 99% that are given the 1% a bad name. But I don't know what the percentages are on good good husbands, good fathers, good providers versus not. Um, my understanding of societal trends is that you know men and women are not um, getting married in nearly the rates that they used to. They're not maintaining healthy relationships like they used to.
Mhm.
Um, and and not to say that all relationships in the past were healthy, um, but it's just trending toward more alone time. And I can't remember who it was in the chat, but they said that you know cell phones are contributing to that. I definitely agree. We've we've become a society of people looking down at our devices instead of looking to each other and having that human connection.
Mhm.
And not saying I don't suffer from that, because here I am on my phone, on my computer. so so there's definitely um, issues with that, not just for the young kids, right? So I say that I'm 49, just to give an idea of where my what my experience has been, and you know I've been married to the same woman for um, let's see, we're coming up on our 26th anniversary in May.
Wow,
We've got
that's incredible.
3 kids, um, and so that's kind of where I'm coming from. Is
Mhm.
um, but I did feel a little um, the description you were making of giving of men earlier, the 50-year-olds, bald, fat, sitting in their basements. I was like, okay, I checked that box. I checked that box. uh, but I'm not online looking for young chicks. So I guess there's I
But
guess
you
there's
do
that.
recognize that there's a lot of men who are like that though,
Oh,
and they come on into
I mean, I'm not.
spaces and make it seem
I don't.
like
Yeah, I don't really associate with them that much, but my understanding is that they do exist. So,
yeah. They do, and I think that women should and I was saying this to, like, another creator friend, like, and he's married. I'm like, we need to see healthier examples because a lot of times what we were talking about earlier, like, if you don't have a father figure, if you don't have a mother figure, how do you end up being the person that you want to be? And we need to have more examples of that because the people who are out here terrible basement living and podcasting, they're out. Their voices are loud and their voices are heard. And so I think it's important to have just a balance, like offer a balance of representation. And even if you don't have it all figured out, I think it's incredibly bold to be vulnerable and to be visible, right? Because a lot of times we want to just do what our little one too, and if it don't work out, all right, fuck it, ain't nobody see it, so it don't matter. Like no, like let's see that a little bit because that's how you learn, that's how you grow, trial and error. But I do think, let me see who said something in the chat. Do you think relationships is worth it? I think it's worth it if you want it to be, if that's what you aspire to be. And let's be for real, guys. Like, not everybody aspires to be married, right? That's not what success looks like for everybody. But you got to be for real about it. You can't be out here playing and pretending. And then there are sometimes I think there are a lot of women who have given up on the idea of being married and being partnered, and so they say that they don't want it. But sister, like if you really do want it, don't say that you don't. Like again, just being open and honest about what it is that you want. Do you think there is benefits in being in situationships? No. What's the benefit? Not unless you just know that that's what you want and you don't want nothing else.
yeah, yeah, saying what you want in life or relationship is fun. I remember back in my college days, I went out with this girl. I was interested in her. That's why I asked her out. Um, but she said that she had just gotten through a relationship or something like that, and that she wasn't looking to jump into a relationship. I was like, okay, no big deal. And a week or so later, um, she was announcing that she was engaged to this other guy. I was like, oh,
Ooh.
what you meant was that you weren't interested in a relationship with me.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
but you learn things along the way.
Mhm. Yeah, you do. And you know, you get back out there though, and you still try. I think that's a part of like just the human experience. People get hurt one or two times. Oh, that girl hurt me in first grade and I'll never trust another woman again. And then he's out being a wrecking ball to real women with real feelings for the rest of his life because of the girl in third grade. That's not for real. Again, going back to being emotionally aware and being able to process how you feel.
Yeah, and then in your video description, as part of the live discussion, you said why men struggle to open up emotionally.
Mhm.
Uh, why? I think it depends a lot on the actual man, right? Because as I mentioned in chat, everybody's different. Everyone has different strengths, different weaknesses, different abilities, different desires. Um, but I think part of why it might be difficult for some men to open up emotionally is that um, society has long expected the men to just kind of deal with it, right? It's not a um, men are not generally lauded for breaking down, for having emotional issues, for um, admitting that, oh, this isn't working, right? Usually it's
Hmm.
the bluster, the I'm the best at this, I'm great, right? And so the vulnerability is not generally rewarded in our society when it comes to men. um, and so I think that might be part of why it's difficult for some men to open up emotionally. um, and then do people listen, right? um, I said in the chat that I learned not to talk trash about my wife, but here I go. um, so um, my wife can be very verbose, um, and if I am not listening to whatever she says, then she gets upset with me. If I were to get as upset at her for not listening to me the way she does with the direction, um, it would, yeah, it just doesn't. It's not a two-way street all the time, right? That I'm expected to listen to everything she says, and she says a lot. But even though I don't typically verbalize nearly as many words, I feel like the words I speak aren't nearly as valued or as listened to. If that makes sense. So
Mm.
if you're not going to be listened to when you do speak from that space, then why even verbalize it?
That's a really good point, and I wanna say thank you for sharing that because that really is vulnerable. What you're basically saying is, if I'm talking about something that, is vulnerable or I feel it's worthy or whatever the case, and I don't feel like it's treated in that way, what's the point of you even saying it? And so people shut down, and people do that across the board, right? And you see that in relationships where power dynamics are off, or you see that in, like, not saying that this is your situation, but from
Mhm.
my own, like, just experience, like, if you try to express yourself and it's not received, you typically shut down. And so I think this goes into being, like, aware of the social constructs, because men don't really get a benefit from being seen as, vulnerable. But I do think that it's important because it's how you really build a stronger connection. So if you being vulnerable is kind of taken away from your masculinity, or it's perceived in that way, right? And so it doesn't hold or have the same type of weight. How would like a man who maybe has less processing skills or less coping skills and mechanisms to kind of like regulate himself, like, how do you think that they should then go forward? Like, is it just maybe the person should be more open to that, or the communication style is are too different, or is it just like a mismatch?
Yeah. Well, I was going to add another reason that might lead to men not opening up emotionally is if they don't think it'll make a difference, right?
Mm,
Because it's like, okay, I could share XYZ about how I'm feeling emotionally, or whatever, but is it going to matter? Is anything going to change because of what I share? And if they deem that
mm.
there's not really much that is going to change or could change, then you know why bother bringing up what you're feeling inside, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Again, if you don't express it, you either implode or explode. I think
Mhm.
that it goes into like seeing people as human and taking off the masculinity veil, the gender role thing, and just looking at people as regular humans and stop being like stop objectifying. I think when we think of about objectification, we only see it from a perspective of like a woman and her being like a sex object. But it's true in the reverse of men, like, oh, he can be just a source of income, he can be just a source of this. Like, no, he's an actual person who still has feelings, who are valid. And that comes from a human level and human connection, right? Like you should still be able to hear what a person is saying. And I'm going to be honest with you. I say this all the time, right? If you call any of my lives, I have a real hard time hearing a man complain. I do. I have a hard time. And in my profession, right, it's really not that good because let me tell you, like, I'm like, listen, if it's a man, please don't assign him to me because I'm gonna have a hard time. You know, when I feel that, society has given men all of these advantages and privileges, and I'm a woman I do a lot, I do it by myself. So that to hear a man complain is just really hard. It's like, oh, please, like, what are you talking about? You have all this testosterone, go figure it out.
Mhm.
But I know that about me. Like that's me being more self-aware. And it's like, yeah, well, but they still have things and they still have learning curves and emotions and feelings. And but because it's not always on display, you kind of almost forget. You kind of almost forget, like, oh yeah, damn, well, what did you say about that thing? Like, what did you mean by that? And okay, so wait, patriarchy says we listen to men so much more than men listen to us. Oh, from a general standpoint, I agree with that. I think we listen to men like indirectly too. Like what they say that they want, what they say that they like, and what they're attracted to. Oh, remember, everybody needs to be demure. Everyone needs to be this and that. Like, again, going into what, like, the echo chamber of what society is telling you it should look like, as opposed to what works for you in particular.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I think that's um, patriarchy. I think you that makes sense from a societal standpoint. I think in general in society, men's voices are tend to be more valued than women's.
Yeah.
Um, on a when you look at a relationship standard, the relationship perspective, um, I think that can vary quite a bit. As I was mentioning before, like if we measure the number of words that that get spoken in my house,
Mhm, mhm, mhm,
I,
mhm.
I'm I'm probably in the teens as percentage of the words spoken. If
Mhm.
we're measuring just between my wife and I, maybe less. Um, and as I was saying before, I better be listening to every word
Right,
because it's like, are you even listening to me?
right.
Um, and yeah, she told me that the other day. Are you even listening to me? And I said, wow, that is such a weird way to start a conversation. Um,
Well, are you?
but
No. Were you?
um, yeah, so it varies. Yeah, it's not measured in numbers of words, right? Not counting how many words are spoken, right? So um, I'm not saying what's the best measure of who speaks. Maybe she talks so much because she feels you don't listen. I think she talks so much because she just has a need to verbalize things, right?
Mm,
Um, like I am a different mode of communicator, right? So
mhm.
I think she just has kind of a stream of consciousness that she just needs to verbalize,
Express.
whereas I tend to try to think through what I'm saying much more so, unless it's a joke, then I'll let the joke fly usually.
Mhm. I see what you're saying. I think too that it's also been like kind of commonplace for us to kind of be able to express and to be heard in that way, especially when we're talking about like dating. But I think the downside of that sometimes can be like when you are the one who's talking the most, when you are the one who's doing this and, chatting and are you listening and the whole everything. I think sometimes women can kind of fall into this trap of being the one that's kind of doing the emotional labor, not all the times, but sometimes. And, you know, not realizing that maybe the over communication can be um, like pushing you away or not pushing you away, but like you feel more less likely to say something because you're chatting away a mile a minute. But I do think that um it's about, for me and from what I've seen, I think it's about how people are raised and what they are, the environment in which they grew up. That's going to determine a lot about just communication styles in general, because I have been involved with men who are like really, really good, really great communicators when I didn't really even have the skills to even handle that, right? It's like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, what do you mean? Like, I'll never forget there was a time when I like was dating this guy. He had like an apartment and he lived in the city and the whole thing, he had it going on, girl. And I liked him a lot. And it was like my first time like staying at his house without him. He had went to work because he was my man for real. And I don't know what happened, y'all. Till this day, I don't even remember like how I don't know what happened. It was like a freak accident. His table broke. He had like these really nice like glass tables, like a coffee table. And I remember like calling my homegirl. This is the minutes weren't even free. I don't even think we were during the day, like, oh my God, his table broke. I don't know what's going on. Like, like really upset about it. Cause I'm like, damn, he's gonna think I was in here like doing something, messing up his house. And he came home and I was like, oh, I have something to tell you. And I was really kind of like hesitant to say it. And I was like, yeah, I don't know what happened, but the table broke and da da da. And he was just like, he didn't really look around. He didn't really say too much. He was like, "Yeah, it's fine, we'll get another one. Don't worry about it." Like, and I was like, "Really?" And he could tell I was like really like I don't want to say anxious, but like, "Damn, I just broke this man's table. Oh my god!" Like, He's like, "Don't worry about it. Like, I'm not about to. Dude, am I going to get upset over the table? It broke. It's okay. I'll get a new one." And I remember that being like as small as that was, y'all. And keep in mind too, I was very young. Like maybe I was 19,
Mhm.
right? 19 or 20. So I was a young girl and I was just like, oh my God, like he's such a man. Like, oh, I thought he was gonna have a reaction of like, oh, what the like, anything, like aggression, right? And
Mhm.
I started to realize, like, wow, okay, so there are people who don't really respond in that way. And he could tell by the way that I was even responding to an accident that I was used to something different. And why didn't that relationship work out, Joy? Child. Woo, shout out my I mean, honestly, so he was Haitian. He ended up being a lawyer. He was incredibly arrogant, toxic. And I don't know if you know anything about like Haitian people, like they really want you to like they I'm a black American. Okay, foundational black American. It was a lot, girl. It was family drama. He was Haitian, he was arrogant in his family, and he was talk like I was still in college. I was young. You know what I mean? It was so many things. But I don't know. I just know that there are some people who come from different backgrounds and it depends on like how they're rooted, right? Like
Mhm.
some men are like you're not supposed to cry, but now with more awareness, with more social awareness, with more just understanding of just the human mind and how trauma works and how people are supposed to be in relationship and just whatever we have learned that men or boys can get hugs and we should allow them to do those different things. And I think too, people are not paying attention to just like regular like human evolution, y'all. We are not in the 60s anymore. You feel what I'm saying? So like as technology is improving, like so are we. So is our understanding of things. Like how AI and our phones have like operating systems, we do as well, right? And we're recognizing that people need more. And notice I'm saying people, not just women,
Mm.
right? People need more. And I think that that's important to kind of note like and move in that space.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
I went off on a
it's a
tangent. I'm
good
sorry.
it's a good point. People need more, and I'm sorry that he wasn't better for you.
Oh my God, please, please don't be sorry. Pfft, I'm sorry I didn't leave his ass sooner than I did. It was just that it was literally just that one nice moment that I remember. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Just to
Good.
recognize, like, oh
but
wow, he's not
but
going to trip
going
out on this.
yeah, going back to what you said about you know different backgrounds, different um, different upbringing,
Hmm.
and I'm I'm still kind of tripping a little bit on. I even feel a little weird saying the word tripping because that's not me. But patriarchy saying, men talk nonstop. They expect us to listen, and I think
Ooh.
just that hasn't been my experience, um, but I think that's also because of coming from different perspectives, different upbringing. Um, I don't remember if I put it in the chat earlier or not, but my parents, you know, they had five daughters and then four sons, and so there were nine of us siblings, and I was the seventh overall and the second son, and the
Mm.
most loved of everyone, of course.
Mhm,
But
mhm,
um, having not just the parental figures, but also five older sisters. Um, you kind of learn respect for for women and for sisters and stuff. And so I think people that come from a different perspective, different upbringing, especially where the man comes from a house where he's the oldest and the most important sibling,
mm.
um, and where the only child or the firstborn, I think is often you know has a sense of importance and needing to be heard that maybe doesn't come from someone who's seventh in the pecking order. Um, so that just I think everybody's different, right? And
Mhm.
like yeah, certainly there are men who can't be quiet. But I think there are lots of men who can be really respectful and have a meaningful conversation with other people as well.
It is, and I'm gonna talk to two things. I'm gonna talk about the men who talk a lot, and then I'm gonna talk about men who can have meaningful conversations. Y'all, it is. I think it is so cool when I can talk to a man who is one respectful, can understand banter, has like enough edge on him that he like gets it, but then also to like can express himself. Like that is really, really, really cool. And I have a few, I don't want to say a lot, but like I have a lot of friends. I don't. I have a few quality platonic friendships with men, right? And because they are respectful, it's not like, that little thing lurking in the background waiting for it. It's not like that, y'all. It's like real just, oh guys, he says send the link. I'm gonna pop up right quick. Okay, chosen, ready
Uh
to
oh.
come up. Finally, about time. This is the first time in 10 years. Okay, Pilato done got the people out here coming up. It's in the community, the community tab. Chosen, go grab it. I'll put it in right here, but it's already up if you want to go check it out. But it really is so refreshing, and I think that we can learn a lot from each other if we're just honest, if we're just open and vulnerable enough and see people as who they are, right? Without the pressure of, oh my gosh, I'm going out with this guy. Let me just, oh my gosh, this and other. Like, just kick it. Just be for real. Like, just be who you are. Um, and I do believe that real friendships and real healing can come from that. There are certain aspects of um I'll post it again just in case you can't see it. Women see things differently, men see things differently, and when you can kind of bridge the gap, something magical does happen, and I can tell that from my like the healthier friendships that I have with men. You feel me? Like I think it's really cool, and I think that I know not a lot of women have had that experience, so I think it's important for me to say it, but it really is really cool. Like just on a strictly platonic thing. Now, when it's a relationship, shit get a little murky for me. I ain't gonna lie. But to talk about the men who talk a lot, I have experienced this. I have experienced this, and a lot of times they are I feel like it's two or three types. One, a man is talking a lot because he feels like, of course you should listen to me. I'm the king of the castle. I'm ruling. I have dominion. Talk, talk, talk. What you're saying really doesn't matter because I'm paying all these bills and I'm the man. I'm superior to you because there are a lot of men who feel superior to women. And it's like, you're going to just listen to what I have to say and you should be glad that I'm even saying it. And then there are also men who, like, it's almost like a form of, like, when they're over talking, they're doing it. I just feel, for me, it feels like it's a conditioning. They're gonna over talk you. They're gonna make you feel like, what you're not doing is wrong or what you're doing is wrong. And you need to hear what I'm having to say. And you should listen to me. It's like rooted in this dominion factor. Like I want to, like, get everything else out your mind and only listen to me. You need to hear my stream of consciousness because of course it's more important than whatever it is that you have going on. And this is what I want it to be, you know? And it was something else that you said that I wanted to kind of talk to. Uh
Whatever it was, I know it was really important because everything I say is very important.
right. Right. Um but going back, okay, so just going back to the human nature of it all. Um I think and I think eventually we will see it because, again, women are way more independent. There was a time when women just had to put up with whatever because there was no other option. There was no jobs, there was no bank account, there was no way for you to leave, not unless there was a man involved, right? And so
Mhm.
this is fairly new, y'all. People think that it was like forever ago. This is fairly new. So we're still kind of seeing the fallout, like, letting the chips fall where they may, so to speak. Eventually, people will have to get on board. Men and women will have to get on board with the fact that, like, yeah, well, if I don't really like what you say, I don't really need you around. And so I want you around if you want to be around, but you got to kind of move like this. But I do see how, again, background, how you grew up, women can kind of be a little domineering. I don't need a man. I don't want this. I don't want that. And then it kind of pushes people away because society tells men that they have to be masculine. Somebody put it in the chat that, like, oh, and if men start talking, they haze the other men for being corny or being vulnerable or being weak. Men do that too. Like, oh, you over there hanging out with your girlfriend. Like, well, what else is he supposed to do? Hang out with you all day? Men will say something like that. It's like, well, if he's a man that's attracted to women, why are you trying to make it seem like it's something wrong with that? And women are influenced by women too, but men, it's like a different culture. It's like, okay, it has to, you know, look like a certain kind of way. Hey, Chosen, welcome to the panel. You done popped up. Palado, brr, 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 brr. You got chosen out the chat. He decided to come up. Oh my God.
the
What
one
you got for us?
the one and only time that you will see that you'll
Literally.
hear me.
So chosen,
Gotta
what,
show him,
what
gotta show him your mystery friend still is alive, you
Yeah.
know.
so chosen, what prompted you to come up on the panel?
Nah, I mean, I've supported Jeray for a long time, so I had to come say what's up real quick. You know, give love to my girl. You know, I see her doing her thing. So
Period. But I know you have a lot to say too, because you was in the chat and you was moving around and men and women and the dynamics, and it kind of gives subtly low key that you are into open relationships. Because every time we say something about open relationship, you're like, oh yeah, that's exactly right. That's
oh,
it. Like,
well, I'll say this. I've been on all spectrums of not relationships, but I've been dated, engaged, married, you know, single. So, like I was saying, I mean, you have to, you know, we were talking about cheating, and it's like, oh, well, who cheats more, men or women? Or all, you know, basically, um, why do women feel that men are just, you know, men are lying about shit and not doing, you know, not being upfront? And so, I would say this: for society has made us believe that basically it's like, okay, we got to be this way. We can't be vulnerable. We got to be tough. We got to be macho. We can't be, we can't show emotion. Boom, none of that. And so when we interact with, or when we meet women, we got to have this superficial thing of, oh, okay, she can't really see me, just say, like you have to put on this facade to attract or get that specific woman that you, or get women. And then once you got them, it's like, oh shit, all right. And you start, y'all start dating, interacting with each other, really, really, breaking down this, really getting to know each other. Like the layers start coming off, and then it's like, okay, damn, like she's seeing me, just like the Shannon Sharp shit. He don't like women farting around him. Like it's a bodily function. Like let's be real. Like you gonna cut a woman off because
Mhm.
she farted in front of you? Like what the fuck is
Mhm.
that? That's crazy. But it's like everybody do it. We human, so like that's wild to me. But I mean, I think for us as men, like we were talking about, when we suffer in silence, we do. We suffer in silence because we have been taught from day one that we cannot show emotion, and that has made us aggressive with women. That
Mm.
has made us aggressive. It has made us aggressive with women. It has our stigma is like, okay, we don't know any other way. We got to go from 0 to 100. We don't know how to regulate our
Right.
emotions. We don't know how to do things. I mean, I go to therapy. I don't have, like I go to therapy all the time. Not because
Mhm.
I have a problem. It's just I can communicate and get somebody else's perspective. And I have a woman who's a therapist. So it's like
Mm.
I specifically wanted that. I didn't want a guy as a therapist. I wanted a woman as a therapist because, like, in my marriage, there was some shit that I fucked up with, and I was just like, I was that dude. I was like, you know what? Well, I go from 0 to 100. I don't. I did not know how to, especially with arguments. I did not know how to regulate or try to de-escalate a situation with my wife at the time. And so I'm better now that I'm not in anything. That I'm.
Wait, but do you feel like when you were going 0 to 100, do you feel like you were being heard though? Because that's what we're
Oh no.
like.
Oh no. 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 I wasn't. I'm gonna be dead ass honest. I wasn't being heard. Um, I'm gonna be dead ass honest. I wasn't being heard because I'll say this. Like this is just my example. This is not for all men. This is not you know. But this is just my example. It's
Mhm.
like we'll say the big. I'll just use this. All right. Say I'm going out with my homeboys, and you know we're out having a good time. I come back at like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, mind you, I told you I've been with my homeboys. We out having a good time. I shouldn't have to come. We there's no. It's a double standard when we come home late and you think we out doing X, Y, Z. No, I already told you I'm out with my homeboys. But you thinking because I came home late, I've been fucking around, I've been doing all this other type of shit. But when women go out and y'all come home late, I mean, we don't, us as men, or at least for me, I don't really press it because it's like, yo, you're gonna do what you're gonna do regardless. Like, there's no point in me, there's no point in me having an argument with you or having a conversation with you. If you ain't gonna hear me, like we button heads, like we arguing for no reason. And so it's like, but they'd be pressing me, like, wife be like, oh, well, where was you at? I already told you where I was at. I already told you I was out with so and so. And then they have that one little trigger, like they'll be like, oh, well, why you come home at this time? And I'm like, it shouldn't be an issue or it shouldn't be a problem because he already knew where I was at. But that whole intuition thing, that whole thing is like, oh, well, he's doing something or is something going on. No, I'm just being, let's call a spade a spade. Let's be real. It's like the intuition thing. I get it. There's some truth to it, and I'm not saying
Okay.
that women. There's some truth to it, yes,
Yeah,
but
because
it
we're not
comes
about to
from.
downplay a woman's
Oh
intuition
no no
now.
no 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 no. There's some intuition. There's some truth to it, but I think also if you've had horrible relationships in the past, or if you've had
Mhm.
stuff that you're like trauma and stuff that you're dealing with, when you do find somebody good, it's hard for you to get out of that mold. Like just for you just saying whatever relationship that you've been in, previously, that it's like okay, I feel this type of way about if I'm gonna get in another relationship or I'm gonna focus on myself, focusing on yourself ain't bad. Being single ain't bad. Like
Right.
just because that's a choice that you decide to do, it's nothing wrong with that. Because there's gonna be somebody out there that may get your intellect, that may get the way that you move. You know, just because you like okay, you had some negative ones, don't be like okay, hey, I'm not gonna. This is a season where it's like, all right, I'm gonna grind, I'm gonna focus on myself, do my thing, boom, 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 and I'm not really looking for a relationship, which is great because when you do step out there again, and when you do, if that's what you want to do, or you can be single for the rest of your life. It don't, like it. Sometimes, like you were saying, marriage ain't for everybody. Being in a relationship ain't for everybody. So we got, so doing that, having that space where it's like, hey, okay, I'm focused on myself. I'm doing what I got to do, is helping you be able to relate men to men better, or to be able to understand how men think, or how and for us as men, how women think, because we don't know that stuff. Like everybody think like, oh damn, well men are, you know, they just don't understand women. No, it's not. That ain't that at all. It's you got some men that just think with they dick, and then you got other men where it's just like, hey, okay, they don't know how to express themselves to women, so it comes out in different, it comes out in different forms, like gaslighting, like or it's just it could be gaslighting. Men may not even notice you gaslighting and shit, or gaslighting the female, and then women are like, oh damn, he's gaslighting me, But if we don't know that, if they don't know that stuff, then there's no way of them to be able to correct the behavior that you're telling them that is a problem or an issue. And I think that, like I said, going to therapy for both men and women is a very very good thing. It's not just for people that have issues or for people that have problems. You should go just to understand the psyche of a man better and the psyche of a woman better, because it will help in everything, not just relationships.
Mm, I agree. I agree.
But
I
people
think
really don't want to do that
no.
because if we go to therapy, oh, that means we got a problem. No, I don't have no mental health problem. I don't have none of that. I go every day just to sound off like shit. There may be stuff that just so I can understand how women think, how women, or stuff about myself. It doesn't always mean that you have to go because you have a problem. It's so you can be a better human being and know how to relate to other human beings better.
Mm, mm,
The nice
yeah.
That's what I
thing, the nice thing chosen about understanding what women think is that it'll never happen. So don't worry about it.
Oh, see those chuckles. See, that's funny. I think that you added some really good like context, especially your circumstances, situation. But I am curious. Like, did you choose the woman as a therapist because you feel like you had a hard time? Like, because I feel like sometimes there are
Mhm.
certain men who have a hard time with having women in positions of power, like listening to women. So
Mm.
was it a choice because you felt like, all right, well, if I struggle with hearing a woman or whatever, or is it unrelated? You just wanted to hear it from a woman as opposed to
No, I really got, it was more so hearing it from a woman's perspective, because it's
mhm,
different when it's like, okay, I'm hearing from family, like I listen to my mom or listen to my sister, like nah, I need to
right,
hear it from somebody like
outside of
what
the
you're saying,
situation.
like yeah, because another thing is like I'm a private person when it comes to relationships. I don't
Hmm.
broadcast stuff, boom, boom, whatever. But people are like, oh, that means you ashamed of me. Nah. It's just I understand that when people are in your stuff that are trying to give you advice, like that puts strain on the relationship between you and your partner. Cause it's like, oh,
Mm.
if my homeboy like, dog, yo, you need to, forget this chick, boom, boom, whatever. That might be because he might be dealing with something,
Hmm. See
or
how other men influence other men? He's another man.
yeah.
See?
So it's like so, and it's the same, and it works on both ways because it's like you may have a girlfriend that's been hurt by dudes, and she like that might be her ride or die, and you might be like, yo, this dude is, I don't understand this, what's going on, boom boom, and she might be telling you something where it's like, okay, where is it coming from? Is it coming from somebody that can understand where you're at? And that's why I was saying like having somebody who's not a friend or who's not a family member, who's a professional, and has an unbiased opinion about what your situation is can help you out. I think
Yeah,
because they
yeah,
give a
Jerry.
different perspective. Yeah.
Jerry, when Chosen mentioned that he purposely wanted a woman as a therapist, one of the first things that popped in my mind as to why he would want that is kind of going back to some of the gender roles we were talking about earlier. That women are kind of thought of in society as being better listeners, and
Mm.
so maybe that was playing into it. But I hear him saying also that he felt like he really needed to get a woman's perspective. Um, outside of those who are connected to his situation, to be able to really understand, his situation and what he wanted to change going forward. Does that
I mean, because if you're
does that
if
ring
you're only
true, Chosen, or
listening,
am I
yeah,
wrong?
no, you spot on. Because like if you're only listening to your inner circle or your family, like that's not, that shouldn't be your only on how to deal with like relationships and dealing with, you know, dealing with people. No, like I literally got a woman therapist because I wanted to hear it from somebody who has an unbiased opinion and who is a woman and who could give me tips and pointers as something that I may be missing or I may be overlooking. I'm not a perfect individual, so it might be stuff where it's like, I didn't see it like that. Or I may be telling them about a situation that I'm having, and they may be like, oh well, maybe you should look at it like this. Or when your partner's telling you this, this is how she's conveying it to you. Just like I said, so I'll be able to communicate with my partner, whoever I'm dealing with, more effectively than I was in the past.
Mm. Do you feel like your relationships and like how you have interacted with women in general has changed since you've been in therapy?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, definitely,
In
a
what
hundred,
ways?
100%. I'm way more calm when it comes to disagreements. Um, I'm able to shut my mouth and listen
Hmm.
because I was always like, okay, I need to
Oh,
provide
so
a
he was one
solution
of
to
those
this
talker men
problem.
we was talking about.
Yeah, it's like I would always want to find a solution to the problem so we can end the conversation. Like I'm not trying to
Mm.
no, we ain't having no long hour, let's share our feelings type of shit. No, let's get this shit done, and you can feel whatever you want to, however you want to feel. I ain't got time to be sitting here. That was
See,
just
but
me.
wait, can I want to say something to this, and not for you in
Mhm.
particular, but
Yeah.
for somebody else who might watch on the replay or who's in here now. There's a difference between emotional intelligence. So he's identifying that, hey, we need to have the solution, so let's just get to it, right? And then there's a difference between emotional intelligence and being aware of this situation. Let me just get this out the way, and then emotional processing.
Yeah.
And those are 2 different things that people kinda conflate, and so sometimes you need to kinda sit in it, and you can't just jump the steps of, "Alright, here's a
Right.
solution, and here you go." Because depending on the person, man or woman, sometimes people need to talk it out, sometimes people need to journal, sometimes people need to
Right.
take a little moment and need to hear, and, "So tell me why, and what did you mean? And step
Mhm.
walk me through the steps,"
Mhm.
right? And I don't need that because I'm lacking emotional intelligence and I just want to argue. Sometimes I just want to process, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Process it in real time. But go ahead. I hope you remember what you were saying.
No, yeah, I mean that's literally what it was. It's like what you're spot on with it. Is you gotta get out of the mindset of it's like, hey, you gotta talk it out, and that's a big thing that I learned. It's like, hey, everything is not quick. It's not
Hmm.
microwave type of stuff. Like, some things you gotta sit there and you gotta no matter how you feeling, it's like, hey, okay, let's talk it out. Let's not just be like, well, you know what, fuck it, I'm out of here. Like I'm ready to go. I'm ready to leave. Because and learning, and like I said, you only learn through experience. Where it's like, hey, okay, well, I'm not just gonna be fed up and be like, okay, I'm out. Let's talk it out. Let's find a solution or find a common ground on this issue. And so by being in therapy, really learning how to process stuff and really, like with dealing with emotions and dealing with uh, issues that come up in relationships, is learning how to talk things out and not just take the easy way out and really just be like, okay, and find a solution so both of y'all can understand and grow together.
And this is a little bit different tangent here from what Chosen's talking about, but he kind of reminded me of something from early in my marriage. Um, I mentioned earlier that my wife, tends to verbalize a lot, and um, she would be telling me about a particular problem she was facing, not necessarily relating to me, because how would anyone have problems with me? But she would express some issue, some problem, and I would see a solution to her problem and start offering that solution. And what I learned was that she didn't want the solutions; she just wanted to vent. She just wanted to
Hmm.
express the frustration and be able to have someone listen. And it's like, you don't have to solve this for me. I just wanted to verbalize it and express the frustration. And going to what Chosen was saying, I think that happens with relationship issues too. If she were with somebody less awesome than I am, and she would have things to express negatively about that relationship, she might need to just vent that out, right, rather than come to solution. She might just be wanting to say, hey, this, I don't like this. and and um, whether it's coming to a solution that day, that night, whatever, just just the catharsis of saying, I don't like this.
Yeah. I think that um you I don't know. I think that no, one second, baby. I I think that you like um I don't know, kind of like wrapped up and hit some really good points about like how understanding what people need. Sometimes we need to process and sometimes we need to vent. And it's okay to hold space and it's okay to also to have an emotional boundary of like I can't really give that to you right now, again being for real, right? And like the thing about it is people expect for anybody to be a superhuman, a superwoman, a superman, and it's like no, I am a human at the end of the day, and sometimes I don't have the cognitive like bandwidth to even hear that shit. I'll be the first one to tell you, especially like what I do. I'll be like, listen, I don't have it. So if I'm getting a phone call from somebody and it's like, well, first of all, ask me, am I in the mood for this shit? Because sometimes I don't want to hear it, and that's okay. That's an emotional boundary. Like, I can't take on all of that all the time. And as a person who understands, you know, like that same empathy I would give to my homegirl or, whatever, I will also give to my partner. You have to understand, like, I mean, I have it for you right now, and that's okay. That doesn't mean I love you any less or you're not willing to or unworthy, but I think that it's important to. Okay, go ahead. to just understand that people have different needs, and just because it's urgent to you or whatever doesn't mean I have the ability to hold it. And I would much rather somebody say, "Listen, I can't carry this right now," as opposed to, you know, trying to fake a argument or listen and don't really listen to what I'm saying or whatever, because it's like, okay, cool. I have to figure something else out. And again, having the skills to be able to one self-regulate, having coping skills to be able to be told no and be okay with it, not right now, and be okay with it. And that's on both sides. That's on both sides, guys. Or at least in my opinion.
So, Jure, there's I need to run, but before I do, I wanted to just address something that the patriarchy said in the chat. She said, I really have tried to have friendships with men. It's one sided and exhausting. I don't feel heard and understood most of the time. And I just want to say, patriarchy, I hear you. I may not understand you, um, but I think those friendships may not be with the right men who value the relationship the same way you want to. But with
Mhm.
that, Jure, thanks so much. This has been a lot of fun, and I need to get back to trying to be a good husband and father. So I will take I will
Yeah.
take take care.
Okay, you too. Thank you for joining.
No problem.
Thinker said peace.
All right,
Um,
girlie. I'm about to go get
yeah.
this money.
It sounds like you about to get a margarita. You are like, I'm about to get to this money slash margarita. Give me one margarita, Abby. One thing about me, I'm gonna tell a joke, okay? Y'all, I think I'm gonna wrap it up too, because I want to get into some topics about Iran and seeing what's going on with that. And seeing what happened down in Florida. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow, I'm not sure. Um, Thank y'all for whoever popped out and show. He at the Mexican food truck. Okay, talking about something. Yeah, I'm about to go get some money. Yeah, he about to go get some damn margaritas and a taco. I know his ass. No, that's what he just said. The lady wasn't believing him. And he at the Mexican food truck. Yes, yes. Thanks for the live. Some great topics. Yes, absolutely it was. Thanks for joining. Thinker, thanks for being here. Patriarchy, she probably left. She was sick of this shit. Like, oh yeah, he's another one. Everybody who popped into the live and showed some love, like the live, sent a gift. I appreciate you all so very much. This has been good. I think it was a good topic. We probably will enhance and talk about things in a different way moving forward, in a more positive, a little messy way. But as always, I'm sending you much love and much light, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.